All right, welcome back. This video is going to be a montage of a couple different clips. I'll get it right eventually. It's going to be a couple different clips. This one I'm going to go through in hopefully 5-6 minutes. Spoiler alert, it's a little bit longer, of what a game design doc is. And then I have another clip that I'm probably not going to use of me filling this out originally, walking through the document as I filled it out, but it was super long. And then I have another one of me going back after I filled it out, putting in a little bit more effort to kind of show you what it could look like if you spent more than 30 seconds on a field. And then I can go through that document at the end. So I don't think this will be as long of a video. It might be, we'll find out, but hopefully this first section that just goes through this document, what it is, how to fill it out, why it's important isn't too long. So a game design document, a GDD, is you might see it every now and then, is like your blueprint. It's your map. Some people call it the Bible, for your game. It is what you go back to whenever you start making progress, to make sure that you're staying true to the original vision. And the original vision is allowed to change, right? You may go down and say, I found a better idea. I don't like that. So let's scratch that. But this is just a starting point. And if you're saying, I want to make a sci-fi game, but then you start going down this medieval theme or vice versa, either you have to update your game to match the design doc because it's conflicting, or you have to update the design doc to your new game. So in terms of that theme. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of walk through what each of the fields are. It's pretty self-explanatory, so I think we can do it pretty quickly. But you can see how it all comes together, and the benefit of it at the end. So the overview section, right? It's concept and description. This is your elevator pitch. 3, 4, 5 sentences, a paragraph that just describes what it is at a high level. If you were to tell someone you're working on a game in an elevator or walking down the hall, this is what you would tell them. And then we have a nice little table for some quick values. Genre, is it an RPG? Is it a shooter game? Is it a tycoon game? Is it a side scroller, platformer, whatever it is, that's what you throw there. The objective, not all shooter games are the same, right? Sometimes you're shooting targets, sometimes it's shooting to eliminate the other players, sometimes it's a story-driven shooter. So that is, you put your objective there. Competitive or co-op, one value missing from this is solo, right? There's obviously solo games out there that don't have a competitive or co-op mode. So solo is 100% valid here as well. Min-max players, 1 player for solo. Co-op, you need at least 2. Competitive, probably 4 or more. Like a game like PUBG has up to 100, unless they updated that. I haven't played in a while. Themes, right? Sci-fi, medieval. Is it realistic? Are you on another planet? Is it an anti-gravity? So that's where you throw in the theme. Fun factor. This is probably the toughest one to really think about, because it's a subjective field. Everything else, pretty straightforward. But what makes a game fun, in my opinion, is different than your opinion, probably. It's different than your neighbor's opinion, your friend's opinion, your coworker's opinion. So it's what you're trying to make in the game that is fun. Is it finding hidden treasures? Is it completing a tower? Is it figuring out a puzzle, right? It's whatever keeps the player engaged in the game and their reason for playing. And then multiple scenes. This is if you're having a big game with multiple levels. This would be useful. If you have like different worlds where one's an underwater world, you can talk about, list those types of different scenes and themes here, because you don't want to load the underwater world in the anti-gravity world, because the physics in those worlds are difficult. They need their own special layout and resources that would need to be loaded together. If they're in the same scene, where if we load them separately, it's a faster load time, the game performs better. It can work on lower end spec machines, phones, consoles, whatever it is. So having multiple scenes can help there. Moving on to the next section is gameplay mechanics. This is that fun factor, but built out, right? So you can list your fun factor of completing a tower, but the game mechanics description is, okay, so how does that player complete that tower? Do they have to build it themselves? Is it figuring out a puzzle to link all the pieces of wood together? Or is it just, hey, I just need to find some money to click buy? It's getting those mechanics organized and listed, and then you can look back and say, is this really fun after I write everything out? Or do I need to work on that vision a little bit further? And then if you have any complex mechanics or mechanics that are very tightly woven together, you might want to prototype them first, so we don't go through building an entire storyline, getting all the music created, getting narration involved and all that stuff, just to find out that that mechanic, the main mechanic that you're reliant on for the game to work, isn't possible, or the two mechanics that you try to weave together are contradictive and they are canceling each other out in the logic in the code. It's trying to figure that out, and that's where a prototype comes in handy. Just getting something gray box, no details, just trying to make sure it works. Level design, right? So this is where your levels underwater. What are the key elements of your underwater level? Is there going to be caves in your underwater level? Is there a strong current that takes you through an underground tunnel and pop you out on the outside? Are there sharks there that you have to avoid? Stuff like that. Inspiration, right? This is where you can get some reference images and sources from like books or whatever. You can list there. Movies, right? So throw some inspiration here, images, just so when you're developing, you can have all of that together, and you just kind of put it on your second screen, throw it in the background, whatever you need to do, so that when you're building your models, designing your imagery or whatever, looking at your UI, you can blend it all together and just say, yeah, this feels like those pictures. That is where I kind of got my inspiration from. Hence inspiration. And then player retention is this last section, right? It's one thing to make a game that's fun. It's another one to make it continuously fun, to make it fun multiple times. You can go see a movie, right? And you say, that was a great movie, but I don't want to watch it again. I don't want to pay the $15 or whatever a ticket is to go to the movies these days to go watch it again. I saw it once, that's enough. But it was a good movie. What we want to do is we want to make it so that player keeps coming back and they say, man, that game was fun, I want to do it again. How do you do it, right? Is it they died, the player lost, and they start over, and now that they have more knowledge, they can make it a little bit further. Maybe the player loses, but they keep the skills and the levels and everything, so they can make it a little bit further. It's that type of hooks of that's the fun factor, right? Going back to that, it's what keeps the player engaged and makes the game worth playing again and again and again. And that's the document. It's pretty straightforward. Once this is all filled out, it's easy to see, yeah, this game is definitely possible. Or you might say that I said I made a co-op game, but all my mechanics and what makes the game fun is the solo story game over here. Um, I need to change. Either the game doesn't become co-op or competitive, or I need to figure out some gameplay mechanics and some level inspirations and that hook that plays into that co-op competitive edge to make it more exciting. Um, and that's the doc. Um, After that, smooth sailing. You just start coding, start building, and then you're done, right? It's a little bit harder than that, but that's the gist of this doc. So what I'll do here is I'm gonna throw on that clip of me filling out this document with a little bit more detail, and it's gonna go fast, and then I'll review it, and we can walk through the document with my input um, at the end. So stick around for that if you want. If not, then I'll see you on the next one. All right. All right. We typed it. We're here. Let's walk through it real quick just so you can see what I'm going for right now. So, here we go. My game design doc. My overview is I want to create a TD game where players build intricate mazes to control the path of creeps as they make their way through a series of waypoints towards a castle. It will have a sciencey, chemical, alchemy type theme where each tower is a different chemical. Chemicals can then be combined into what I'm going to call experiments. It's a working name that make them stronger and have unique abilities. As players progress through the levels, they earn rewards and currency that can be used on skills to make their runs stronger. Strategy is incredibly important in this game as creeps will become very powerful and a strong maze is critical to success. I'm going to add to success. Cool. So, genre, tower defense, objective, create a maze of towers strong enough to survive an onslaught of creeps for 50 plus waves. 50 is a lot. I don't know if we're going to have 50, but it felt like a good number to put down, so that's what I wrote. Competitive or co-op? I actually chose solo. Maybe we move to co-op in the future, but to start, I want it to be solo. So, min players, 1. Max players, unfortunately, 1. Themes, sciencey, chemical mixing, alchemy, sci-fi, possibly. I think I'm going to try to stay away from going like full-on Star Trek, Star Wars sci-fi, and make it more like, we're just going to leave sci-fi there. I don't think we're going to lean into it too hard, but it's there. And the fun factor is randomness and pivoting in strategy. I want it to be random what chemicals you get for your towers. And as you have a strategy in your head, if the randomness isn't working out in your favor, you're going to have to pivot in strategy. And that should be a fun mechanic at the end of the game, or at the end of the day. So, description, players place 5 chemicals onto the map, creating and adding to their mazes each round. After placing all 5, the player must choose to keep 1, or if lucky, they can create a combination. That's that experiment that I mentioned earlier. Creeps will spawn after the selection is made. If the player is successful, the loop restarts and the player continues to build their maze and create new chemical towers. That loop then just keeps repeating and repeating and repeating. The The different chemicals and creeps will have unique abilities and strengths slash weaknesses. The core mechanic that I think I'm going to need a prototype is that successful experiments. It will require a way to track the chemicals that you've saved from previous rounds while also looking at the ones you are adding each round and maintaining those lists and then adding and removing as things get combined. So, keeping it all organized will be very important. Some level notes. There's a spawn point, I'm thinking on the left. There's an end point on the right, and some waypoints for the creeps to go through that will create a loop shape. It's hard to explain now, but the loop shape is sort of critical to the overarching strategy. It's going to take it from levels 1 to 3 in terms of strategy to probably a full 10 because it makes it more intricate and you have to think more about it. It'll make sense as we get deeper into the game. And then a grid to keep everything organized. I want it to be in a grid-based system so that I don't have very finite curves. Very fluid curves. I don't want those. I'd rather it be kind of grid, like a chessboard. And then inspiration is Gem TD from Warcraft 3, Element TD from Warcraft 3. Those are also in some other games. But that is where I first witnessed them or experienced them, and so that's why I list Warcraft 3. But they're good games if you're ever playing any tower defense games and stuff like that. And then I have a sci-fi elemental chemical-y inspiration to it as well. And then some reference images. It's a Warcraft 3 TD. I liked the layout here. I'm gonna make these a little bit bigger so you can see. I like the UI up here. I like the organization. I think it's good to save space. And then down here we have some actions, characters, and a mini map. I think I can work with this layout. Obviously, some tweaks here and there. This is pretty old school looking, but I think it's gonna be pretty good. I took this one because I like the mazing that they're doing. I think it's going to be an important one to follow. And then an actual really old Warcraft 3 Gem TD. It's not the real Gem TD that I recall, but it's a modified version of it. But you can see how they go. If you can see my mouse, they go across, down, then off screen they go over here, and over here, or something similar to that. And that's that cross that kind of makes that loop right there. So those are the inspirations, and then the player retention. So that randomness, I think it's gonna hopefully be, I hate to say this word, but addicting, right? When it's gonna feel like slot machines almost, where you don't know what you're gonna get next, and you're gonna want to keep trying. And you're always like, I was so close to getting that special combination, that experiment. I need to do it again, because if I can get that this time, I can win. I can beat level 50. Unlockable skills and experiments. And then I wanna, even though it's a solo game, I wanna get a way for the games to talk to each other, and have the high score list be a global high score list, so you can compare not just against your previous runs, but to your friends, to strangers, to people all over the world. I think that would be awesome. And that's my doc. When I put it all together, I think it's a pretty solid game in my head. I think that we can go pretty far with this. So let's see. All right, I'll catch you on the next one.